Hi friends, welcome back to Reimagining Our Faith. We have just a few more devotions on Joseph, so we'll move on to another series pretty soon. But today, I want to invite you to think with me about finding and doing God's will. When we think about God's will, we often jump straight to questions like, what does God want me to do? Or how do I know the right path for my life? But underneath all of that is something even more foundational, trusting the promises of God. If we don't trust what God said, we will never confidently follow where God leads. Think about Abraham, Joseph's great-grandfather. In Genesis chapter 12, God gave Abraham a breathtaking promise. I will make you into a great nation. All peoples on earth will be blessed through you. Later, God expands that promise. Your descendants, God says to Abram, will be as numerous as the stars in the sky. But look at how that promise unfolded. Abraham and Sarah had only one child, Isaac. Isaac and Rebekah had two children, Esau and Jacob. 3 generations and 6 people. Not exactly stars in the sky. Abraham died before seeing anything close to a great nation. By the time we reach the end of Joseph's story, however, the family has grown to 70 people. Still not a nation, but God's promise was clearly developing. God was moving even when it looked slow, small, or uncertain. Here's the key. If Abraham's family had stopped trusting in God's promise, they would have stopped walking in God's will. Trust kept them moving. Trust kept them obedient and aligned them with God's purposes. So what about you? What do God's promises mean in your life? God says, I will never leave you nor forsake you. That means you never walk alone. You are never abandoned, never without God's presence. Jesus promises abundant life, life to the full in John chapter 10, verse 10. That means your story is not defined by scarcity, fear, or emptiness, but by abundance. These promises aren't just comforting words. They are the fuel that helps you walk in God's will. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Joseph didn't follow God because the path was easy. They followed God because they trusted the very one who made the promises to them. So today, ask yourself, which promise of God do I need to trust so I can take the next step of obedience? Because when you trust God's promises, you will find God's will, and you will have the courage then to do God's will. Then you will also experience God helping you to reimagine your faith.